Hi, this is Derek Murphy of creativity.com, helping you become creatively and financially independent. Wait a minute, let me make sure I've got my camera working. Okay, I'm here. So what I'm doing is going through a list of 100 questions that I get asked frequently to talk about the answers that I usually give. I'm doing this in video form just because I know some of you don't read as much. I have this also as a book, so you can get a free book with all these answers. So this question is, when you want to write a book and you finish it, where would you go to get it published? And this is a very common question. How do I publish a book? It usually entails, how do I find an agent? How do I get a publisher? And it's a complicated subject, but I'll run down kind of what the publishing options are available right now in case you have finished a book and now you're thinking, what do I do with this? Finishing a manuscript is a big deal. Authors are usually so excited they want to rush out and publish it. But there are two paths to publishing. You can send the manuscript along with a book proposal and some other documents to a literary agent so they can try to sell it to a publisher. If you get a book deal, your book will be out in a couple of years and you won't make much money. You can also self-publish, but there's a lot of competition and your book needs to be brilliant and expertly designed, and you have to have a pretty big platform. Even then, you're unlikely to make any money. With that in mind, you can either just pay a small price or an author services company to do everything for you, which is expensive and the quality may not be great, or you can manage everything yourself, which takes more work, but you'll save money and you can make sure the design is really good. Although it's worth mentioning, if you take over the design of your book and it's your first attempt at book designing, you will make rookie mistakes that hurt sales. So that may sound overly pessimistic. And I think it's difficult in my position because there's a lot of people who will support you and say, there's never been a better time to publish a book. You can make a lot of money publishing a book. And that's true. There are people making a lot of money publishing a book. In almost every case, they have at least 10 books and they have a really big online platform and they're very good at online marketing. So if you're publishing a book, it's your first book and you have no marketing, your questions are probably, how can I make money with this book? How can I make money publishing? And how can I get a book deal, or how can I get it published with a traditional publisher? It depends on what you want, but your book, your first book, it's a good way to build your platform. It's a good way to announce yourself as an expert, to publish a fiction book or a nonfiction book, but it's not really the thing that's going to make you a lot of money unless you publish a lot of books. And that's why I think learning how to self-publish, learning how to do a lot of that publishing by yourself will make it much easier for you to be successful in the long run, because then when you finish subsequent books, you'll know how to put them together quickly and cheaply by yourself so that you can finish a book and publish it every month. And otherwise, what a lot of people will do is they'll try to wait for an agent. They'll give it to an agent. Maybe they're lucky enough to have an agent say, okay, I want to work with you. And then they'll wait a year or two and the agent tries to sell it to publishers with no success. So you've lost a couple years of your life waiting for a book deal when you should have written 3 or 4 more books and you'd be in a much stronger position. Also, you need to be building your author platform. And part of the problem with partnering with an agent or a publisher is you think, well, that's not my responsibility. I don't really need an author platform because I have an agent or a publisher. That's not true at all. And it also gives away all of your power. So maybe even if you were very lucky and you got a published book deal and it sold really well, later when the sales stop, if you haven't built your author platform, if you haven't built your own relationship with your fans and you come out with another book, you're starting from zero again and you need somebody else to help you to do everything. It's much better for you to start with your first book and build a platform, learn the skills you need to publish so that in a couple of years, you'll be able to publish much faster and much more books, because the way to success in publishing these days is publishing a lot of books. And it doesn't really matter if you're self-published or traditionally published. All that matters are the files. Publishing just means you take your book and you format the inside of your book so it looks good, and you make a cover for the outside so it looks good, and then you put it up somewhere to make distribution easy. So you put it up on CreateSpace or a print-on-demand company that will take those files, and if someone orders a book, they'll print the book for you. You can set it up with no cost because you don't have to pay for 1,000 books to be printed, which means you're not really taking a big risk. On the other hand, if you were going with an agent or a publisher, they're taking risk, printing books, hoping they will be successful, but they're not going to take a big risk if they don't know you, and they're not going to spend a lot of money marketing your book until they know it's going to sell. So even if you get an advance of $5,000 or $10,000 from a medium or larger publisher, they are probably not going to do any marketing for you. An agent told me recently, unless you're getting a $100,000 advance, you're probably not going to get any extra marketing from your publishing company, which means it is all on you anyway. And if you're doing all the work, you shouldn't be getting 10% of the sales. You should be getting much more. With self-publishing, you'll get 50 to 70% for ebooks, about 40% for print books. So it's not really about whether it's self-publishing or traditionally published. It just matters if your book looks professional and what kind of marketing campaign you're bringing to the table. So how your own platform looks, if you're building your own relationships to your fans. There's a lot of ways to do that. It takes some learning, but it takes a lot of learning. It takes a lot of time to figure everything out. But you can semi-partner, or you can read a lot of books, or you can pay someone to make your website or do some of your book marketing for you. Once you get set up well with a good website and you learn some of these skills, you should be constantly growing your platform. I get probably almost 1,000 signups a day, not a day, a month right now on my blogs, and that's growing. So I get people who find my websites through natural traffic and they like my offer, so they sign up to my blog. So even though I'm not marketing right now, when I have another book, I'll have this growing list of people who may be interested in hearing about it, and I can just email them. It makes it so much easier to become a bestseller or to sell a lot of copies quickly, which you need to do to rise up the ranks of Amazon. So don't worry so much about finding an agent or getting a publisher, because that usually means you're looking for help. You want somebody else to help you for free to take your book and make it a bestseller. That's not going to happen. Even if you have a great book, it's very unlikely a big publisher will work with you unless you also have built an online platform, or you have an amazing author story, or you as an author are the whole package. You're really good on camera, you're engaging. If you just have the book and nothing else and no platform, I can't say it's impossible, because it happens, but it's exceedingly rare and very difficult, and will probably take you a few years of full-time work just trying to convince a publisher to take you on. And the results, the income you generate probably won't be worth your time in the long run, which is why I prefer to urge you down the path of self-publishing. It doesn't mean that's the best path. There's a lot of mistakes you can make with self-publishing, especially your website probably won't be very good and your book won't be well designed unless you hire the right people to get it done well. But if you get those two things right, you'll do much better with self-publishing than you would with a big traditional publisher. There's another question that's similar about how to get into bookstores, and I feel like going on talking about that, but I'm not going to. This video is going to stop here. There's another video somewhere in the line down there about how to get your books in bookstores, so find that one. And you can also get all of these answers as a book that's free. Thanks. Bye-bye.